welcome to Up Close with Carlos Sang, celebrating art, entertainment, and the human spirit. Welcome to another episode of Up Close with Carlos Sang. My next guest has been a strong fixture on the London stage for the past 30 years, with credits ranging from Company to Onassis to The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie to View from the Bridge. She is about to make her Regent's Park open air theatre debut in Twelfth Night. It's a huge privilege to be able to introduce the very wonderful Anna Francolini. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. And it is exactly 30 years, actually.
Exactly 30 years. Oh, wow.
My first job was in 1994, a wonderful tour of Godspell that went from Aberdeen, Wolverhampton, Sheffield, all over the place.
Okay, well, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yeah, so let's talk about Twelfth Night. I mean, it's definitely probably one of Shakespeare's most performed plays. Why do you think this piece seems to particularly stand out in his canon of work?
Well, I am not really the best person to ask that. Owen, the director, Owen Horsley, who is, I would say, one of the most knowledgeable Shakespearean people I've ever met. I don't know. It wasn't a play I knew, actually. You say it's the most done, but it isn't one that I've seen or at all. But it's one of his comedies. And of course, comedy doesn't necessarily mean or laugh out loud, although it is funny. But it's just such a story of queerness in a funny way. Everything is just taken from a slightly shifted angle. You've got lots and lots of mistaken identities, and not necessarily mistaken identities, but purposefully changing identities, and a lot of people who are slightly done wrong, and a lot of people who are sort of planning to upset other people or trick other people or confuse other people. So there's just a lot to get your teeth into.
Yeah, I mean, you sound very humble, and you obviously have done, Midsummer's Night Dream, Romeo and
Oh yeah.
Juliet, The Tempest
Yep.
in the past as well. So you have done, quite a bit of Shakespeare as well in your history. What would you say is sort of, the biggest misconception about doing Shakespeare too?
Oh, the biggest misconception. I don't know if I could answer that completely, but I think what I think would be that you can do what you like with it.
Mm.
I think it is important to be able to do what you like with it. And I don't mean to, destroy the verse, or it would be like doing a Sondheim, but without the tunes. You need the tunes. And Shakespeare has the tunes. Um, and that is, and his language is actually incredible. But I still think you should be allowed to just play with his themes, his characters, his relationships. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of elasticity in interpretation, and I think that's important to be able to feel that you've got a certain freedom.
Yeah,
Otherwise, what's the point of doing it?
yeah,
And that's not to say that this is a particularly off the wall, crazy interpretation of it. It's not at all. It's very text based and truthful. Everything should be just going for the truth. So yeah, so it's not like some kind of like, oh my God, this is so crazy and dangerous. It's still Twelfth Night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is incredible, how you can have so many different interpretations of the same play, and especially of something like Twelfth Night too. What was it about the role of Olivia which particularly attracted you to that part?
Well, she's kind of crazy. She's crazy with grief, and she is crazy with love. She's a very funny character. I find her very funny, very fiercely sort of intelligent, and yet totally able to be taken up in the moment and passionate about one thing and then another. And she has a lot of faults, a lot of things that aren't particularly likable about her, but I really forgive her all of those things. And I think I think she's fascinating, and just the way she just gets consumed by love and just doesn't listen to a word. Cesario Viola, who is pretending to be this man, she doesn't take any no for an answer, which I don't know if that's a good thing, but but yeah, I think she's feisty. She's full of a lot of things, to be honest, and she's very entertaining, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she goes on this incredible journey throughout the play, she's, constantly surrounded by these suitors too. Was there any parts of Olivia that you were able to, identify within yourself as well?
Oh my gosh, what a question! What a question! I think I can identify with that desperate love for somebody that you can't sort of hide, and it's sort of against all odds. And I can identify with being rejected. My God, you name it. What can I identify with? Um, you know, I don't know. I think I could just sort of identify with her wanting just her womanliness, really. There's a She's full of very human emotions, really, just wanting to show off a bit, wanting to be liked, terribly, terribly insecure. So, a bundle of all those wonderful things that we're all made up of.
Yeah, totally. I mean, this will be your first time performing in Regent's Park Open Air Theatre as well, which is really exciting. Is there
Mm.
anything you're particularly looking forward to as well about, working at the park?
I cannot wait to get on that stage. And I say that because I can wait, because I don't think the weather is kind of nice enough. Today it was pouring with rain
Yeah.
and was a bit nippy. So that I cannot wait for. I can wait for, but I cannot wait to get out there, because I'm sort of bellowing in the rehearsal room from one side to the other, but the wall is like there. And I want the wall to go, and I want to see the trees. I want it to echo in the distance, because I also, when I did The Tempest years and years ago, it was also an outdoor performance, and that magic of nighttime falling and the lights suddenly taking over, there's nothing like it. And I've seen things at the Regent's Park, and I know that that magic is so part of that whole experience, and that I cannot wait for.
Yeah, I mean, it is incredible, just seeing how the lighting just changes throughout the evening. And it is interesting as well, Twelfth Night has been, performed, I think, a few times at Regent's Park as well. Why do you think, this space, fits so well with the world of Twelfth Night?
Hmm, interesting. It's not like it's set in a wood or uh, um well, I mean, our setting for it is in a cafe by the sea. So the sort of outdoors is very sort of just very close by. So I suppose that can be so. But I guess that sort of everyone sort of tricking each other and leaving one room and coming back as somebody else, or pretending, or hiding behind the darkness to pretend to be somebody else, and people just sort of missing things. I think being in actual physical darkness, I think, is quite exciting and intimate and magical, and will help with that kind of the falseness and the secrecy that is within Twelfth Night.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I mean, it's an incredible space, as you say. You've worked in so many incredible theaters, during your career. Has there been, one particular theater as well, which has particularly stood out for you and that you particularly hold closely to your heart?
That's a very, very interesting question. Ones that come to mind instantly would be, I really, really love places like the old Bridewell, where I really cut my teeth in the 90s. The intimacy of that theatre, where people are just sitting on your lap, basically. And the same would be with the Donmar Warehouse, where I've worked a couple of times. That's uh, the just doing things when people are at your knees. I really, really love that. And also the Almeida was like that. Also, I mean, I did Manchester Royal Exchange, and that pod there is also phenomenal. I see, I really like working in the round as well. So I can think of all the little theatres like the Minerva at Chichester, or the Orange Tree, or Scarborough, the Stephen Joseph. Those are wonderful. Some of them are in the round, and I love that, where you really are just part of it. But then, of course, I give me the Palladium, and I'm very happy to fill it. And I quite like suddenly being on a proscenium arch and going, okay, there's just one direction everyone is looking in. And that's also, I like having sort of rules within your sort of, oh, you're doing all your text work and your character work, and then you get on the stage and you've got certain rules that you have to, everyone's got to see you and they've got to hear you in one way or another. And I like that. I like the diligence of that, the the defined parameters of that.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing how theatre can exist in so many different forms, in places like the Donmar and the Almeida, but also in somewhere like the Palladium or Drury Lane. I want to also come back to Owen Horsley as well, who you mentioned, who's directing this production. What have those early conversations been like with Owen on how you're going to tackle this piece, which is, as we mentioned earlier, very frequently performed, and how are you going to perhaps make it different for audiences too?
Well, I don't know about different, but it's about making something live,
Mm.
because that is what you will respond to. As an audience, you just want to feel what you're seeing. There's some kernels of truth. And I think what Owen is very, very knowledgeable about Shakespeare and the text, but he's not restrictive, and I think that's wonderful. And his idea with this is something about the queerness of it, about, you've got gender swapping and gender hiding and kind of obscure sort of characters, and who are they. And I think he likes to explore that in this world. We're setting it all in Olivia's cafe. And it's a slightly it's a cafe where there's music, singing, dancing, drag shows, beat poetry, kind of crazy cool artistic stuff, but it's slightly past its best and is slightly down at heel because everyone's died, in the beginning. And I think he likes the idea that it's a place where these slightly strange people, like Olivia, like Toby Belch, and the Fool Feste, and Mariah, they've all got this little home, and there's this slightly odd queer family to which some outsiders come into. And I think he's really enjoying exploring how all of these worlds are meeting and trying to shift on their axis to exist and kind of like each other.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how Shakespeare was so sort of ahead of his time and how relevant his work still is and how it still speaks to so many people. If Shakespeare was writing today, do you think his work would still be as well received, or do you think his plays would get a different sort of reception?
If he was writing now, oh, poor boy, poor boy. I don't know. Can you imagine? He'd be racked with insecurity. He'd probably be wheeled out of the Olivier's. But but I don't know. Someone else would pip him at the post every time, and it wouldn't be fair. So yeah, I don't know if he would be appreciated. No idea. Bless him. Who knows where the finger of God suddenly points? Believe you me.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but yeah, I guess we'll never know. You've worked, extensively, in theatre, doing both musicals and plays, and do you feel like, the demands are particularly different, depending on what kind of show you do too?
Um, yeah, I actually think they're quite, well, especially with Shakespeare, when you have something like verse and very, very difficult language, or, well, difficult language that's not necessarily your everyday speech. So I think actually the same sort of discipline can be employed with both. I think, you've got this sort, you just find the truth, but you say it in a different way, which is the same with when you're acting with singing. it's you're finding your truth, but you're saying it may be quite long. Wasn't that good?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, lovely.
I know that was for free.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, I mean, as you say, earlier on in your career, you worked on some glorious, glorious productions. Working alongside the likes of Michael Grandage and Sam Mendes at the Donmar Warehouse. When
Hmm.
you were starting out, did you have sort of an idea of how your career would pan out?
Yeah, I really thought I was going to be Julia Roberts, but anyway, here I am. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I knew I wanted to be an actress from the word go. As a very small child, it was never ever an option, and I'm so pleased that I am an actress. I am absolutely doing what I'm doing. The only there's a lot of pain that goes with this because there's very few people out there that can really choose what they do and have that wonderful sort of they're working all the time. So that's that. There, it's a tough old business, but to still be able to, and I love that I'm still playing things. People like wonderful characters like Olivia. It makes me so happy when I'm standing up there, opening my mouth, and just getting on with it. It thrills me. I don't want it to end. So, I mean, other people want it to end, but I don't want it to end, and that's.
I'm sure nobody wants it to end.
I'm sure no one wants to end because they drag me off the stage.
But yeah, I mean, as you say as well, how do you, sort of, decide, what sort of work you want to do? How do you sort of say, how do you choose, what you say yes or no to?
I mean, choice is very, very limited, unless you are in that, that lucky percentage. But I mean, the only choice I've got, I have a family,
Mm.
so I choose not to go on a tour of Godspell for 9 months, and that's I don't want to be away. So there are certain no's that I would say to for things like that. But to be honest, uh, you know, auditions come in, and you just look at it and go, does it feel exciting to me? And I think as I get older anyway, personally, because everyone has their absolutely own individual version of their career, um, for me it's about will I be happy in the room with everybody? Will I enjoy what I'm doing? And either that or how much money is it going to pay me? So, it's literally it's those sorts of questions. So yeah, choice is a difficult word in this business.
Mm. I mean, when you won your TMA award for the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, did you feel like you had just done your best work? And do you think awards still have a strong impact on the industry too?
Um, do you know what? I was so happy to. Well, it was so unexpected. Actually, I loved that play. It started in Northampton. Laurie Sanson directed it, and then we took it to Edinburgh, and I learned so much on that job, doing that part actually, and yeah, winning that award was really sort of like a real confidence booster. Um, and it made me sort of think, okay, it is just a very personal confidence booster. I'm under no illusion that I could win an Olivier Award tomorrow, which I would really, really be happy to do. Um, I'm under no illusion that that would then sort out the rest of your career. I think, you know, you just don't know where the next job is coming from, and what it's going to be.
Mm.
So it's a real leveler, this business. But I don't know what impact the awards have on the industry, but personally, they would have a very lovely impact on me. That's all I can say. A very lovely one. Wouldn't it be nice, eh?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, wonderful. I think you should win more awards, absolutely.
I thank you. I do.
Yeah, I mean, you've worked on extensively, on stage, but you've also done, considerable work, on screen. You've got, lots of wonderful, TV and film credits too. When you're working on, on screen, do people, have an awareness of your work on stage as well?
Generally, no. No. generally no. I mean, it depends. Sometimes you'll be sitting in makeup, and then it'll be like, oh, and then you'll chat, and you'll realize that actually people had worked, years ago on the same sorts of things. So yeah, it depends well, it depends how old the people you're working with are actually. A lot of yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's sort of it's funny, isn't it? You can do this for decades and decades, but you turn up on set and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, but some actors, once they find success, on screen, they sometimes don't necessarily come back to the theatre. But
Mm.
you very much consistently worked in theatre, over the last 30 years. Why has it been, so important for you to, to keep, working in theatre particularly?
I love theatre, but I mean, I'd like to find a lot more success on TV and film. I would absolutely love that. Um, I enjoy being on a set. I enjoy camera work, um, especially when it's a decent part. Often, there aren't there are lots of parts that aren't necessarily as meaty and as exciting as theatre. And in the theatre, you get. I mean, I'm really glad to do theatre because I just don't think there's anything braver. Well, okay, there's lots of things braver. Okay, I understand that, but I am also going to say there's not many things braver. Okay, maybe if you go in the army, but I still say stand in front of an audience, singing a song or stepping on stage. It's a terrifying, scary thing, and I am so glad that I do that and that I am able to just throw myself off cliffs and just go for it, and people love it or hate it, and you know but theatre is extraordinary, and you have a little family, and you have this buzz, and you have interactions with the audience, and it is incredible. And as much as of course, I absolutely love film and TV, the live audience thing is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, theatre is extraordinary. I completely agree. And as we mentioned earlier, you've worked in the theatre industry, for 3 decades now. How would you say that the industry has, perhaps changed as well over that time too?
You have a lot more meetings. I'm finding you having a lot of meetings about self-care, and things like that, which is brilliant. I mean, there's a lot of things are changing. Everyone wants to be very open and careful with each other. But we are, fundamentally, I don't know. I don't know if it's changed in my experience. I suppose the last job I did was 2 years ago, a theatre job at the Orange Tree, and then before that, it was before COVID. So I don't really know how. In fact, I was interested going into this one, thinking I'm wondering if things are changing. Um, but to be honest, everyone's still the same sort of idiot, and everyone has a really good laugh together and takes it seriously, but also recognizes just how awful it is and how brilliant it is at the same time. And that's been really great. And in fact, this is a particularly great cast for that, for awful people. No, but it's a particularly great cast for really everyone really understanding how the process works as a group and individually, and everyone's very supportive and totally understanding that we've just got to get through this rehearsal process, just hating ourselves and also getting better and getting better. So it's sort of the same old thing, but I do wonder if the business is changing, but I couldn't put my finger on what it is.
That's really interesting to hear.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so wonderful talking to you. Just as a last question, what are you
Yeah.
hoping the audiences will take away with them when they come and see Twelfth Night?
Oh, I really hope that they laugh and that they've had fun. I really hope they've had fun, because I think that is all you can hope for when you go and see something. Um, I hope they're warm enough. I hope that, yeah, I just hope that it's fun, because it's very joyful, and it's meant to be joyful. It's written for joy. It's written for entertainment. And I just hope they have enjoyed all the characters, however likable or stupid they are. I just want them to have a really good time.
Yeah, I'm sure they absolutely will. Anna Francolini, it's been such a joy talking to you.
Thank you so much. Love to speak to you too.